15 years. 15 years of building a life with someone. 3 children. A mortgage. Shared dreams. Thousands of moments of intimacy and vulnerability. And then one Thursday evening, over leftover spaghetti, the person you thought you knew better than anyone looks you in the eye and tells you everything was a lie. My name is Diane Martinez. I'm 42 years old, and I'm from Toledo, Ohio. This is the story of how my entire reality shattered over dinner, and how I rebuilt myself and my family from the pieces. Before I dive into this, I want to know where you're watching from. Drop your location in the comments. Have you ever had your world turned upside down by someone you trusted completely? You're not alone. And if this story resonates with you, please hit that like button. It helps more people find this, and maybe my experience can help someone else navigate their own impossible situation. Let me take you back to the beginning, because to understand the ending, you need to know how we started.
I met Julian Dander in 2008.
He was 27, working as a dental hygienist, living in a tiny apartment with my cat and too many houseplants. He was 28, a graphic designer for a marketing firm, charming and creative and unlike anyone I'd ever dated. We met at a mutual friend's barbecue. I was standing by the cooler, trying to fish out a beer, and he appeared with a bottle opener, like some kind of summer party angel. "You look like you need this," he said, smiling. I was smitten immediately. Julian was everything I thought I wanted. He was kind, attentive, thoughtful. He brought me coffee at work. He remembered little things I mentioned in passing. He made me laugh until my stomach hurt. He seemed genuinely interested in my thoughts, my feelings, my dreams. We dated for 8 months before moving in together. It felt natural, easy. We just fit. Or so I thought. Looking back now, with the clarity that only devastation can bring, I can see the signs I missed. Or maybe the signs I chose not to see because I was so desperate to believe in the fairy tale. Julian was never particularly physically affectionate. We had sex, but not frequently. Maybe once or twice a month, and it always felt like he was somewhere else. Distracted. Going through motions. When I tried to initiate more often, he'd have excuses. Stress at work. Tired. Not feeling well. Headache. Too full from dinner. I told myself it was normal. That not everyone has a high sex drive. That emotional connection was more important than physical. That I was being shallow for wanting more intimacy. I gaslit myself for him. His computer was always password protected. His phone face down. If I walked into a room while he was on his laptop, he'd quickly close whatever he was looking at. He said it was work stuff, confidential client projects. I believed him, because I wanted to. We got engaged in 2010, 2 years into our relationship. He proposed at a little Italian restaurant where we'd had our 3rd date. It was romantic and sweet, and I cried happy tears and called my mother immediately. We never set a wedding date. Every time I'd bring it up, Julian would have a reason to wait. We should save more money first. We should wait until he got his promotion. We should wait until the economy recovered. We should focus on getting a house first. Always another reason. Always another delay. In 2011, I got pregnant. It wasn't planned, but I was thrilled. Julian seemed less thrilled. Actually, he seemed terrified. But he rallied, said all the right things about being excited to be a father, about us being a family. Our daughter, Maya, was born in January 2012. She was perfect, dark hair like Julian, my eyes, this little miracle that made everything feel right even though we still weren't married. "We'll do a small ceremony after the baby's a bit older," Julian promised. "I don't want you stressed about wedding planning with a newborn." Reasonable, understanding, considerate. Or so I thought. Maya was 6 months old when I got pregnant again. This time it was definitely unplanned. Turns out breastfeeding is not reliable birth control, despite what some people say. Julian handled this news even worse than the first time. "Diane, we can't afford another baby right now," he said. "We'll manage. Families do. We'll be okay." I wasn't ready for 1 kid, let alone 2. That stung, but I pushed it aside. First-time parent nerves, I told myself. He'd adjust. Our son, Lucas, was born in May 2013. Another perfect baby. And Julian did adjust. He was a good father, attentive and involved. He changed diapers, did night feedings, sang lullabies in his off-key voice that made the babies smile. But the distance between us grew wider. We stopped having sex entirely after Lucas was born. I'd try to initiate, and Julian would deflect. I'm exhausted, babe. 2 kids under 2 is killing me. Fair enough. I was exhausted too. Months passed, then a year, then 2 years. I brought it up in 2015. Julian, we haven't been intimate in over a year. Something's wrong. Should we see a counselor? Is there something you're not telling me? I'm just stressed. Work is intense. The kids are demanding. I'm touched out all day with them, you know? I just need space. Touched out. A term I understood well when you've had little hands grabbing you all day and you just want your body to yourself. I got it. But looking back, I think he just didn't want me to touch him at all. In 2016, I got pregnant a 3rd time. This one broke me a little. We'd had sex exactly once in 2 years. A drunken encounter after my sister's wedding where Julian had uncharacteristically had too much champagne. I cried when I saw the positive test. Not happy tears. Overwhelmed, exhausted, confused tears. Julian was silent when I told him. Just stared at the test for a long time. Okay, he finally said. Okay, we'll figure it out. Our youngest daughter, Sophie, was born in December 2016. She was beautiful, and I loved her instantly, but I also felt trapped. 3 kids under 5. Still not married. A partner who wouldn't touch me. A life that looked perfect from the outside but felt hollow on the inside. I threw myself into motherhood. If my relationship wasn't fulfilling, at least my children were. Maya was smart and curious, always asking questions. Lucas was gentle and creative, building elaborate block towers. Sophie was sunny and affectionate, a cuddle bug who made everything brighter. The years blurred together. Diapers and preschool and birthday parties and exhaustion. Julian and I functioned as co-parents, roommates who happened to have children together. We were polite, cooperative, efficient. But we weren't partners. We weren't lovers.
We weren't even really friends.
I started noticing more things I'd previously ignored. Julian spent hours online every night after the kids were in bed. He had a lot of work friends he'd text constantly. He went to the gym religiously 5 days a week, sometimes 6. I need to take care of my health, he'd say. I want to be around for the kids. He started dressing better. More stylish clothes. Better haircuts. He grew a beard, then shaved it, then grew it again. He seemed to be constantly changing his appearance, trying on different versions of himself. In 2020, during the pandemic, everything intensified. We were all trapped in the house together, me trying to work remotely, Julian doing the same, 3 kids doing virtual school, and climbing the walls. It should have brought us closer. Instead, Julian retreated further into himself. He'd take video calls in the garage, saying he needed quiet space. He'd go for long walks alone. He became irritable, snapping at the kids over small things, apologizing immediately, but seeming on edge constantly. Are you okay? I asked him one night after the kids were finally asleep.
Hai fine.
Just cabin fever like everyone else. But it wasn't cabin fever. I knew that. Something was eating at him. In 2021, as the world started opening up again, Julian started going out more. Drinks with work friends. Networking events. A weekend graphic design conference in Chicago. I was honestly relieved. He seemed happier when he had space from us. And I'd gotten so used to being a single parent within our relationship that his absence didn't really change my day-to-day life. That should have been my wake-up call. But I was too tired, too numb, too invested in the life we'd built to see it. Then came April 2023. The kids were 11, 10, and 6. Maya was in 6th grade, Lucas in 4th, Sophie in 1st. We had routines, rhythms, a life that worked even if it wasn't what I'd once dreamed of. It was a Tuesday evening. I'd made spaghetti, the kids' favorite, though they'd still complained, because that's what kids do. Julian had been quiet during dinner, pushing pasta around his plate, barely eating. After we got the kids to bed, The usual chaos of teeth brushing and stories and last-minute water requests and one more hug. Julian and I stood in the kitchen doing dishes. "Diane, we need to talk," he said. My stomach dropped. That phrase. Nothing good ever follows that phrase. "Okay," I said carefully, putting down the dish I was washing. He dried his hands, turned to face me, and I could see he was shaking. "I need to tell you something. Something I should have told you years ago. Something I should have told you before we ever got serious." My mind was racing. An affair? He's in love with someone else? He wants to leave? I wasn't prepared for what he actually said. "I'm gay." The words hung in the air between us. I literally couldn't process them. It was like he'd spoken a language I didn't understand.
What?
"I'm gay, Diane. I've always been gay. I've known since I was a teenager. And I've been lying to you for 15 years. I sat down. Or maybe my legs just gave out and sitting happened. You're gay." "Yes. But we have 3 children." "I know. We've been together for 15 years. "I know. We're engaged." He had the decency to look ashamed. "I know. And I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry." The questions came tumbling out. "How long have you known?" "Always." "Have you been with men?" "Yes, for years." "Do you love me?" "As a friend. Not romantically, never romantically." "Did you ever love me?" He thought he could. He tried. He wanted to be straight so badly. Were our entire 15 years together a lie? He didn't answer that one directly. But his silence was answer enough. I sat at that kitchen table until 3 in the morning while Julian explained. He'd grown up in a conservative family. Being gay wasn't acceptable. He'd tried so hard to be straight. He thought if he just tried hard enough, loved someone enough, built a life enough, he could make it true. He'd been seeing men secretly since before we met. Hookups through apps. Anonymous encounters. A few longer affairs. He'd always been careful. Always used protection, thank God. Always kept that part of his life completely separate. I ask the questions you're not supposed to ask, but can't help asking. Was I just his beard? His cover? Was I just the woman convenient enough to give him the straight life he wanted to project? "No," he insisted. "I care about you. I wanted to build a life with you. I wanted kids. I also can't keep denying who I am. I can't keep living this lie. It's killing me. It's killing him. What about what it was doing to me? 15 years of wondering why my partner didn't want me. 15 years of feeling inadequate, unattractive, undesirable. 15 years of blaming myself for the distance between us. 15 years of thinking I was the problem. And I wasn't the problem. I was never the problem. He was living a lie, and I was collateral damage. I asked him to leave that night. He went to his brother's place. The next morning, I had to explain to 3 confused children why Daddy wasn't there. "Dad and I need some space to figure some things out," I told them, trying to keep my voice steady. "But we both love you all very much, and that will never change." Maya, my observant 11-year-old, knew something was seriously wrong. "Are you getting divorced?" We weren't even married. How do you get divorced from an engagement that never became a wedding? "We're figuring things out," I repeated. The next weeks were a blur of shock, grief, anger, confusion. I told my mother, who was horrified. I told my best friend Keisha, who came over immediately and held me while I cried for 3 hours straight. I got tested for every STD known to medical science. Thank God, everything came back negative. I saw a therapist. Dr. Pat helped me understand that what I was feeling, betrayal, grief, rage, confusion, was completely valid. "This is a complex form of trauma," she explained. "Your entire understanding of your relationship has been retroactively rewritten. Everything you thought you knew was based on false information." I mourned. Not just the end of the relationship, but the relationship I thought I'd had. The man I thought I knew. The 15 years I thought we'd shared. None of it was real. Or it was real for me, but not for him. How do you mourn something that only existed in your own mind? Julian wanted to come out publicly. Be authentic. Live his truth. Start dating men openly. I wasn't ready for that.
Not yet.
Not while I was still processing my own devastation. The kids need stability, I told him. Give them time to adjust to us being apart before you introduce this. He agreed, reluctantly. We told people we'd separated due to irreconcilable differences. Let them assume what they wanted. I wasn't ready to be the woman whose fiancé of 15 years turned out to be gay. I wasn't ready for the pity, the questions, the speculation. Keisha was furious on my behalf. 15 years, Diane. He stole 15 years from you. He didn't steal them, I said tiredly. I live them. I have my kids. Those years gave me Maya and Lucas and Sophie. But you could have had those kids with someone who actually loved you. Someone who desired you. Someone who was honest. She was right. But what good did it do to think about what could have been? 6 months after he moved out, Julian started bringing his boyfriend around. His name was Marcus, which felt like a slap because Julian had always said we couldn't use that name for Lucas because he didn't like it. Turns out he was saving it. Marcus was 35, a personal trainer, explained Julian's gym obsession. Attractive in that way gay men in their 30s often are, carefully groomed, stylish, confident. The kids liked him, which somehow made it worse. Marcus is nice, Sophie told me after her first weekend at Julian's new apartment. He makes funny pancakes. I smiled through gritted teeth. That's nice, honey. Maya was more perceptive. She started asking questions. Why did Dad leave? Why does he have a boyfriend now? Was he always gay? I tried to be honest without overwhelming her. Sometimes people don't understand themselves fully when they're younger. Dad figured out something important about himself, and he needed to be honest about it. But he lied to you for my whole life.
Yes.
Yes, he did. People make mistakes, I said, not sure I believed it, but knowing I needed to model forgiveness for my kids even if I didn't feel it. It's been almost 2 years now since that Tuesday night confession. 2 years of rebuilding my life, my identity, my understanding of my own history. Julian and I co-parent effectively. We split custody 50-50. He's still a good father, that was never in question. The kids seem to be adjusting. They like Marcus. They understand, in the way kids do, that their family just looks different now. But here's what no one tells you about this situation. You become invisible in your own story. When Julian came out, suddenly everyone focused on how brave he was. How difficult it must have been for him. How wonderful that he's finally living authentically. And sure, I get it. Coming out is hard. Living in the closet is painful. I don't want to minimize his experience.
But what about mine?
What about the woman who built a life with someone based on false pretenses? What about the 15 years of feeling undesired and blaming herself? What about the 3 kids who now have to understand that their parents' entire relationship was built on a lie?
Nobody talks about that.
Nobody writes articles about how brave I am for rebuilding after this particular kind of betrayal. I've had to grieve the relationship I thought I had while simultaneously figuring out who I am as a single mother of 3. I've had to explain to my kids in age-appropriate ways that sometimes people aren't honest about themselves, even when it hurts people they love. I've had to navigate people's reactions, some supportive, some weirdly judgmental, some who treat me like I should have known somehow. How should I have known? He told me he loved me. We had children together. We built a life together. Was I supposed to administer some kind of sexuality test? Demand proof of heterosexuality? The hardest part is forgiving myself for all the years I doubted myself. All the times I thought I was the problem. All the nights I lay awake wondering what was wrong with me that my partner didn't want me. Nothing was wrong with me, but it took a long time to believe that. I'm dating now, tentatively. It's terrifying. Trusting someone feels impossible after 15 years of being unknowingly deceived. But I'm trying. Because I'm 42, and I have decades of life left, and I deserve to be loved honestly. I deserve to be desired. I deserve a partner who chose me knowing fully who they are. My kids are doing okay. Maya's in therapy. She's old enough to really understand the complexity of what happened, and it's affected her trust in people. Lucas seems to be taking it in stride, though his teacher mentioned he's been having some behavioral issues at school. Sophie's young enough that this is just her normal. Julian and I are civil. Sometimes even friendly. He apologized many times for the hurt he caused. He didn't mean to, he says. He thought he could make it work.
He thought he was protecting me by staying.
I don't know if I've forgiven him. Maybe someday. Right now, I'm just trying to move forward. Here's what I want you to understand if you're watching this. My story isn't unique. There are thousands of women out there who've lived some version of this. Married to closeted gay men who couldn't or wouldn't admit their truth. Raising children in relationships that weren't what they seemed. Were the collateral damage of homophobia and societal pressure. Our stories get erased in the narrative of courage and coming out. I don't want to erase Julian's story. His experience is real and valid. Being closeted was painful for him, but so was being lied to for 15 years. So was raising 3 children essentially as a single parent while my partner was secretly living a double life. So was all the therapy bills and the nights crying myself to sleep and the years of self-doubt. Both things can be true. Julian's pain and my pain. His need for authenticity and my need for honesty. If you're in a similar situation on either side of it, please be honest. If you're closeted and in a straight relationship, I understand it's complicated. I understand there are legitimate fears and pressures. But deception doesn't protect anyone. It just postpones the pain and multiplies it. And if you're the partner of someone who came out after years together, know this. Your feelings are valid. Your grief is real. Your anger is justified. You're allowed to feel betrayed even while understanding their struggle. You don't have to be noble about it. You don't have to be understanding immediately. You're allowed to be devastated. But you will survive it.
I promise you that.
It feels impossible now, but you will rebuild. And I'm still here. Still standing. Still believing that somewhere out there is someone who will love me honestly, fully, authentically. If you made it this far, thank you for listening. Drop a comment and let me know. Have you experienced something similar? Are you rebuilding after betrayal? You're not alone. And if this story helped you feel less alone in your own situation, please like and share it. We need to talk about these stories more. The messy, complicated stories that don't fit neat narratives. This is Diane Martinez signing off and moving forward.
And if you love real-life stories with tough choices, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share.